Welcome to the Casual Shooters Podcast, your premier podcast for the casual shooter. And I'm your host, David Riddle. Okay, so tonight it's going to be a little bit of a different feel. Returning guest, but this time in the capacity of being the one of three Area 6 director candidates. So we're going to focus this episode on why he's running and what he brings to the table. And I've got a few questions that I've got tucked away to make him think a little bit, kind of like the icebreakers. We'll see what we can do to make him work a little bit. So if you would, join me in welcoming you to the show, one of the candidates for the Area 6 director, Mr. Billy Herrington. How you doing, Billy?
I'm good. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that.
Welcome back.
It's great to be back.
I should have queued up the welcome back Cotter music. I didn't even think about it.
It's kind of an impromptu thing, I guess, but, glad to be here. It's wonderful.
So if you would take a moment and reacquaint the audience with who you are.
So I'm just a regular guy, right? I'm Billy. My government name is William. If for anybody that might be confused or not really know, that's what you would see on the ballot. You see William Herrington. But ever since I was a kid, I didn't like the formality of William. I've always gone by Billy. Some people will change it to Bill. I've answered to many other names throughout my life in my career in the Army.
I was about to say, I'm sure you were called many things in the Army.
Yeah. Not so great ones, and then some pretty good ones too. Probably the two that I love the most have been called was husband and dad.
Okay,
those are the best titles I've ever held, and I still hold them. So those are the ones I cherish the most. So anyway,
all right.
Enough of the sappy stuff, right?
We don't want to bring the audience down. Come on now.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. From not a whole lot's changed since the last time I was on. The 24 years in the Army, went in at 18. This month, actually, will be 5 years since I retired. I was on transitional leave and got picked up as a contractor, working for National Guard Bureau as the infantry subject matter expert for all the National Guard schools that teach infantry courses. So if they have questions about courseware, questions about equipment, waivers, what they need to do, how they need to do something, they will call our office. It's me and another, actually a very good friend of mine. We served together in Iraq together twice. He's still in the Army. They'll call us and ask, and we'll kind of be a liaison between them and Fort Benning, which is a proponent for infantry. In addition to that, we'll go and do staff visits to prepare them for the proponent accreditation that comes out of Benning. And then kind of like the management and the assistance of them getting their training funds for everything from buying pens to food to ammunition to everything to make those courses conduct, how they get their money to do that, and the ability to train soldiers from all different components, whether it's Guard, Reserve, or active duty, and the allocations for the people to go to those schools. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of really, really boring stuff, but you kind of get an understanding of it like I had for so many years working in the institutional side of it after I came out of a lot of the line and the maneuver part of the infantry. And it becomes its own challenge because things are always changing. The Army is going through a big transformation initiative right now where they're losing a lot of armor and making it all making it infantry. So that's on us with a lot of things that are changing. So big muscle move and push for that. So even when I was still in the Army, towards the tail end of my career, I've always wanted to be, a cop. I always had I always wanted to do it. I don't know why, and even after having done it, I still don't know why. But it was just a rewarding part of, I guess, the service. So in 2015, I did it on the reserve part-time side here in Mississippi, and I've been doing it ever since. Now I'm more in a training role with the sheriff's office in Forest County, Mississippi. Do driving training, defensive tactics, firearms, all those fun things. I will help keep them up to date, certified on with their training. Pretty much all those
Okay.
things like that. I worked the road for many, many years before that to get the relevant experience with it. But that's kind of the background of me, and all those various positions, brigade staffs and all of these things, and the things that I do now with the with National Guard Bureau, general officer type interactions with the briefings, and like we've got one coming up with site selection for moving around and changing the footprint a little bit of where a lot of training locations are, justifying and just to kind of be a better steward of the government's money type deal.
Okay. First off, thank you for using the appropriate name, Fort Benning.
I've been here a few times myself.
Some people will get that, some people won't.
Yeah,
Um,
I never could go
I,
the other way very easily. So
no. I do want to make a quick announcement. If you want to catch up with Billy's episodes, there's actually 3 of them. So we obviously had a very long conversation about 14, 15 months ago. Season 3, episodes 53, 54, and 55, which I cannot drive 55. But
you can't.
so that was a lot, and there was something that stuck out with me. So are you volunteering at the sheriff's office, or are you part-time there?
Volunteer. I'm not
Okay. Okay. So how many hours would you say a month that you are working there as a volunteer?
paid. So currently, it's hard to put it to a month. It will come in chunks when it comes. Like right
Okay.
now, I know there's one of the deputies. He was out of law enforcement for over 2 years, less than 5 years. So it would qualify him to be a skills update, is what they call it.
Right.
So I'll need to get with him and just do a couple. The state will put a little sheet out and just do certain things you have to do with him to
It's
get
like
him.
refresher training. Yeah.
Well, they have a refresher training that's different. It's longer,
Okay.
more involved. You
But
have to be
but
cabin.
for the rest of us in the rest of the world, it's like refresher training.
Yeah,
But
you could call it that. Yeah, like a
get
refresher.
you caught up to where you should be.
Right. Just to make sure that you're up to date on a lot of the laws and little things like the defensive tactics,
Right.
driving, the firearms, just the big 3 of those. So to say X number of hours a month, I wouldn't really be accurate. It's a lot of
Okay.
times an as need, and then they'll have like quarterly training, like big quarterly training events. Then they'll have biannual weapons qualification. So I'm kind of in that type of role. And hey, you. All right, let me look. Cool, I can do this. I'm not having to travel for an accreditation type visit or
Right.
something else. With my job.
Right. Now, and that's the other thing. I don't know if people have never had, especially a federal government job. I mean, you get paid a salary, but like when I was at Quantico, when we had a school in an 8-week time period, we worked 13 and a half 40-hour weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how many hours we put in 8 weeks time. And your pay doesn't ever change, but you're expected to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
So there are plenty of times where you're working longer hours, or like you said, you're traveling, you're doing other stuff. So between that and what you're doing with the sheriff's office, where do you find time to be an area director?
Oh, I mean, so the thing about having to travel, with work is it's well known in advance. Those aren't really like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm trying to think if I've ever gotten one like that, and I think I did, but it was about a month and a half of warning on it. Thankfully, a lot, if well, all but like one board meeting is on Zoom. They're all done just like we're doing right now, and that can be accomplished from anywhere. We proved, about 5 years ago
The entire world did.
that a lot of things that are done, and I will even say the things in the job that I do now, we're actually doing some of those things are going back to, I don't want to say distance, electronic based digital learning. How's that sound?
Oh yeah, or so remote learning. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do that. I'm actually, so the day I get back from Utah from Race Gun Nationals, I'm teaching in a training institute pre-command course, but it's all on computer. So to answer that question, I don't have a problem when it comes to balance. I learned something years and years ago, when I was a junior NCO in the Army, that there's two types of balls. You've got a rubber ball and you've got a glass ball. You got to know which ones you can drop and bounce and which ones you can't.
Okay.
And you don't have any chances to figure them out, because you drop a glass one and you're done. I
Right.
don't drop glass balls.
You're not getting that one back.
No, and I don't drop them. So, yeah.
So you're saying you'll have the time to put in whatever hours or time you need for USPSA.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I see no issues. In my personal, professional, volunteer, um, if we want to create a realm for another type of life, I've got support. My wife supports it. She looks at me like I'm crazy. Uh, Braden, he's just like, why do you want to do this? I said because it needs to be done. I said, if not me, then who? I said, it's a chance for me to give back to something that I've held so dear and has done so much, I feel, for me and, for mine and his relationship. Um, it's, to me, it's a no brainer.
Okay.
You provide and you do for those that you love and that what you love. And, you know, sure, we can look at the macro level and say that yes, we yes, the organization needs direction, and we can also say at the area level that's where it begins. Even more so at the section level and at the club level. Well, I've always believed in the you lead by example. So that's my whole thing. Just lead by example.
Okay. Now it based on the information that I saw on the USPSA website,
Mm-hmm.
it would appear that you've been a member for about 5 years.
Uh,
4 years, 5 years.
May of 21.
Okay, so 4 years.
Yeah.
Yep. Now you were in the Army for more than 2 decades. The military puts a lot of emphasis on history and tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how much history and tradition do you think should play a part in USPSA?
Knowing that you're going to go somewhere else with this based on my answer.
As always.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a maze.
So
You
look,
determine which way we go.
right. I will say that you never forget where you come from. It's you never forget where you come from, and you always take from it, but you also never you never want to not evolve either. You know, so again, I came in 2021 and we saw limited optics come about. You know, love it or hate it, we saw limited optics come about. And I just look in the recent, uh, from when I came, the recent past, PCC and carry optics. You know, they evolved right before I got there. I think you have to take your history and your rich tradition, but you also have to be open to some element of change and adaptation for the future, within reason, of course. Staying true to yourself, true to your fundamentals, and true to your beliefs and values as well. Because if you don't, and you don't like the change, you'll like being irrelevant even less.
Okay. Now, here's the follow up. So
Mhm.
yes, that was a setup question.
Oh, I know.
Um, and here's why I asked that. I'm a firm believer in knowing how you got to where you are. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So having the history of stuff and why certain rules and bylaws are created to me are important. And I go back to something that I have learned within the last year or so, that GM was never meant to be permanent.
Hmm.
It was meant to be something that you could achieve and lose, and not necessarily once you achieve it, it's forever your title. Um, and I feel like there needs to be greater separation in titles in GM, because okay, you may have, let's say, 1,000 GMs, but only 20 of them have won a national championship. So you're not we don't, and I that was the whole purpose of the GM, was to differentiate between the masters and those who have gone on to become, national champions, that type of thing. So with that now, how much do you think that type of information should play into future rules and bylaw changes going forward? Not necessarily the GM. I'm just using that as the example.
Okay. Hmm. So let me make sure I'm understanding your phrasing right. Uh, so talking about, again, not using the GM part of it, but the historical part to kind of shape the future is what you're talking about.
Yes.
So for an example, there are some out there that say we should do away with power factor.
There you go. Correct.
Okay, knowing that power is a component of DVC, which is the whole crux, the three points of USPSA. Um,
Now, if I may interject before you answer,
mhm,
because I think that's a good point. And here's a situation where something is created in 1970, whatever, to
mhm,
keep things equal. But in 2025, the way technology is today,
mhm.
what isn't equal anymore? You know what I mean? Like everything has changed so drastically in the 50 years since the beginning of the sport. Do we need power factor anymore?
No, so if you go back to our original interview, uh, I was questioning it then as well, and I've been shooting open all year. I've been shooting super comp, getting
Okay.
major getting major scoring, and I mean, I think if you look at it, you're giving somebody an extra point with a gun that I'm not going to sit here and say it's easier to shoot, more or less, but it's designed to not really move a whole lot when you do shoot it.
Right.
And now I've shot it in majors. So I say stay true to your roots, allow it to shape, but anything is worth revisiting. And While doing that, no decision needs to be made in a vacuum. 8 or 9 people sitting on a camera talking amongst themselves are not the ones that make that decision. The people that make that decision are the ones who will be watching this episode and the ones that pay those dues every year. Those are the ones that make that decision, not a boardroom.
So how do you? Okay, I think I understand what you're trying to say there.
So, well, if it is something that, so as a area director, right? If it comes up and there's an amount of people in Area 6 that say, hey, we don't want power factor anymore, or we want the, like you were talking with the GM classification. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to listen. I'm the conduit. We bring it up. It goes its process, through either committee, through the board. But at the end of the day, the decision doesn't lie in the board. In my eyes, it doesn't. That's when it needs to go to a vote to the membership.
Okay.
And every person should have the opportunity, whether they take it or not, is that's up to them. But it should go to them because it's their organization. It's not my organization. It's not Area 2 director, Area 1 director at large. It's not their, director of marketing and manager director. It's not their organization. It's
I
everybody.
agree. It's the membership.
Is what?
It's the membership.
It's the membership's organization. They're
Right.
a shareholder in that organization by being a member. It's their decision on how it goes, what is done, what is changed, for those larger items such as that are not specifically outlined to be done on like a representative style of a democracy, like it is, with state reps and whatnot. The little business items that the board handles. But these things like that, when you go to changing divisions and classifications and power factors and this, no, absolutely not. That is for the membership, 100%.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified at the end because I wasn't quite sure how. I was like, how in the world is this going to happen? But you clarified at the end because at first I was thinking you were like, everything that comes up, the membership would need to vote on it. And I'm like, that's, but okay. I get what you're saying and I don't necessarily disagree. So,
Right.
Okay. All right. And this one's going to be a little bit more this is a little more divisive of a topic. And it was last year, especially the end of last year.
Oh boy.
You said, and I'm just quoting what you had on your information on USPSA.
Sure.
Our sport deserves more women shooters and more junior shooters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I agree with deserves. As William Money said in Unforgiven, deserves got nothing to do with it. However, women and juniors are definitely sparse. And while I agree that we need to draw more in the time I've been here, I have not seen a winning strategy for that. Have you seen anything differently that you think might help to attract more? I'm not saying women don't shoot guns. My wife loves to shoot guns, but she doesn't want anything to do with going to a USPSA match.
No, I don't blame her.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, like, do you see any, have you seen anything out there that actually works?
I've seen plenty of things that work to keep them away.
Yeah, me too. But, and look, and my wife's has got nothing to do with how she's ever been treated by anybody. You know what I mean? Right. It's just, she doesn't want it. She doesn't like the feeling of people watching her when she's doing stuff. So for her, shooting a stage, she's like, oh, these people are watching me. I don't feel comfortable. I don't like it. I'm not doing it. I'm like, okay, fair enough. You know what I mean? So it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't seen anything. I've heard, and having heard, I kind of took that hearing and just like, you know what, that sounded like a great hearing. So why don't we just try it? In regards to junior, so my thing is, there's not much of an outreach when it comes to junior.
Okay.
A lot of times you'll see show up with a parent, maybe they're both brand new. This is coming from personal experience. Braden's 14 years old. It's May of 2021. We show up at a match and we've seen YouTube videos and that was it. So we show up and we're like, we're just going to watch. And I'll get people that will say that. I think, no, don't watch. Just what gun you got? Bring it. You'll trust me, you'll love it. But show up, watch, and okay, come out to the next one, etc. Right? The way I look at it is, we have great ranges and facilities in Area 6. We have great shooters, people in Area 6. Why don't we have some sort of a junior type camp? It doesn't seem like rocket science to me. It doesn't seem inordinately hard. Sure, it takes resources, it takes time, it takes a little bit of coordination. But top of my head, I can name off a handful of individuals who would definitely be one that you would want a junior to take a little bit of range instruction from. No cost to them. Maybe it moves around. If it's once a year in the beginning or twice a year, it goes around to these clubs that I'll use mine, for example, that's not big enough to host a level 3 or maybe even a level 2. But it gets some movement around the area into different places where maybe the family couldn't go, or the rest of the people in the area haven't been yet. And that's one of the things that kind of really opened my eyes a lot, was going to some of these different local matches back in July, just to see how things were done in different places. Realizing that we've got some of the best local matches in the country with the way that things are put on. But back to the question, having that junior camp where they come in, whether it's a day, whether it's 2 days, and they're brought in there, they're coached, they're mentored, and they leave out of there like really, really liking this, really, really hooked. Well, anything that you do, is going to have a second and third order effect. That environment is going to lead to some recruiting, possibly, if you want to call it recruiting, like we did in the Army, right?
Right.
But I think the biggest thing about it is the ones that are going to be in there, and it goes down to just pure, straight up safety. And I'll call it what it is because of what's been going on. No mother's going to allow their child to be somewhere where they don't feel they're safe. And that means a mother or a woman is not going to go to a place and participate in anything where they don't feel they're safe, or where something happens and then the person that does whatever is going to be dealt with accordingly. So that would be one of those safe environments where the junior shooter can come in there. She's going to be coached. It's going to be straight up USPSA. You're going to learn the rules. Maybe you've already got some base level of knowledge. We're going to capitalize on that. And we're going to develop Area 6 to be the hotbed that I know it can be, or that it will be and it should be. And there's not going to be a worry. You're not going to have any issues going on like it happened recently around in these other places. That's also going to help feed into possibly, and that's why I say USPSA deserves more junior and deserves more women. I hate to say it in this context, but we almost owe it to them because we owe a safe environment, and we owe that to everybody. I don't care what your category is. You're owed somewhere safe, free from perceived harm or potential harm, regardless of who you are. Um,
Okay.
so, and that's
Yeah.
me. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all agree on that for sure. I don't think you're going to get an argument with anybody out of that. But so, all right, I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction with this because I like the concept.
Mm-hmm.
I can't picture how it works, but let me throw this at you. I know Cardinal Shooting Center, that's like home of the Scholastic Action Shooting Program.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Area 5, I was talking to Morgan Leonhardt, and she had been one of the people who flew up to work with all those junior shooters up there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I talked to some people who were, or actually Steve Foster. When I had him on recently, he talked about some of those junior shooters and how amazing they were, but it doesn't seem to translate to them being an adult and being in the sport. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel, and I don't know, this is where I don't know enough about the organization and their relationship, not being a board member, with organizations like SASP. I know they just recently joined into some type of relationship with the NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation. And I feel like if you really want to grow the sport, whether it be with males, females, juniors, cows, whatever, those are the organizations you're going to have to get with, because like NSSF, they put on the largest shooting spectacle every year in SHOT Show.
Yep.
So they know how to coordinate things. They are huge. So what are your thoughts on working more with bigger organizations than the USPSA in order to do this stuff?
So I don't think it's a bad idea. Um, I think there's plenty of market space and share and capital, or however you want to look at it, for everybody. Um, and you mentioned the scholastic shooting, on some of my ventures out, shooting level ones to get around the area to interact and meet people. I've had those conversations, specifically about junior camps in Area 6. So, you know, I, they've been in. I've been in some talks with on some early planning ideas with them. Not with the organization specifically, but people within Area 6 at other clubs who understand, and there's one phrase that I'm always been fond of. I am one, we are many. One person's obviously can't do everything, but having the knowledge, the resources, and the abilities, to to be able to coordinate and to uh, orchestrate and then get things together. I think is a very, very tough skill to develop, but it's a great one to have. But yeah, you know, PCSL just had the goat match down in Holt, Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, Holt, Florida. And I hate that I had to miss it. I would have loved to went and shot that. I am not a two gunner by any means. I've spent a lot of my career behind a rifle. It's not really my forte anymore. I just love handgun more. But I was out of town this past weekend. But it looked like it was a blast. Um, I would definitely go if I can, if they have another one or when they have the next one. But just look at something like PCSL, USPSA. I mean, people want to look at them like they're competing entities, and maybe in a way they are, but wouldn't it be so much greater if they weren't so much competing with each other as they were competing against, oh, I don't know, soccer? Because you can do a whole lot more in your life being able to know how to handle a firearm than you can kick around a soccer ball. I don't know how to soccer, but I mean,
You won't get any argument from me out of that one.
that's kind of how I look at it. I just, hey, I'm from Mississippi. I can be kind of dumb sometimes, I guess, but I graduated from Alabama. Just don't talk about the football game. Luckily, I didn't get to see it, but I think being able to,
I'm okay with outlawing soccer, actually.
yeah,
It's all good.
I think being able to interact and work together in those spaces with the different organizations, whether it's the NRA and their shooting competitions, the Scholastics, the NSFF, PCSL, even, hey, why don't we work with IPSC more?
Right. We're actually a part of IPSC, so that would make perfect sense.
Really? Yeah. Don't tell them
that. So I'm with you, and I don't view PCSL as a competing organization. They're a different shooting sport.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't think they should be looked at as competing and hostile or any of that. They're just a separate, with a lot of crossover. I mean, a lot of Zach Smith and Kyle Litzy were 1 and 2 in PCC at the IPSC Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also, I think Kyle won one of the divisions last year at PCSL Nats. So there's a lot of crossover is what I'm getting at. You had a lot of people, Mason, Nils, Justine, all shooting PCSL Nats, and they always shoot USPSA Nationals. So there's a lot of crisscross, a lot of crossover. And when I spoke with Mason, I'd never seen him do anything, in that realm before. Him and Kay and Stephen Lutman, they all had a blast. They're like, yeah, we're going to do this again. So but it's because it's different too. Similar, but different.
Mm-hmm. So, I think there's just enough difference in it to maybe give you a break, let you explore something a little different. Like I know some people that will go to a regular caliber, a 5.56 rifle, and some of them will stay with a PCC because usually the ranges will be 200 or less, whatever. Like I get a bigger bullet hole, I'm like, are you really playing that game? You want the bigger bullet hole? Like, come on, man.
Well, and it's an interesting thing. I know we're digressing a little bit, but that's okay. It's all about shooting. I found there are enough rules differences to make it a completely different sport because there is the opportunity, like you said, you can shoot 223 or 5.56, whichever you want, and 9mm in the same match, meaning you can shoot a PCC on one stage, and then on this stage over here with 200-yard targets, you could break out your rifle and do a 223 caliber, as long as you stay within the same division. Yeah. As long as it meets that same category, you're okay. I think that's pretty wild,
When I saw on the GOAT match, when I saw him flip up a clay pigeon and they shot that joker with a shotgun, I was like, man, I missed that. I used to shoot those when I was a kid all the time,
Right. Yeah, and Jason Wood's been working on that, so I knew that was coming. So,
Jason, good dude. Great.
Yeah,
too. Love his targets and swingers.
Okay. And actually, I was wrong. That was not the controversial question. This one is. Oh. So here it is. So this is the one last year was a big one. Yeah, it was about preserving the ladies category.
Oh yeah, that's not pretty straightforward.
Well, I've got a lot to say. So some stuff that I wrote out before I get to the actual question here. So the organization seems hesitant really to confront that issue head on. or at least last year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had Ken Cobb on after he was the interim Area 4 director, he said there was behind the scenes, there was a lot of turmoil between all the different directors and nobody wanted to work together. There was a lot of issues in that regard. Um, there was a retreat at the beginning of the year. Not everybody was present, so they couldn't really hold any meetings because not everybody was present.
Mm-hmm.
That's a that's a tough hill to climb. Now you've been in leadership positions since you were, a new adult.
Yeah.
So this is a tough hill to climb, but looking back on your past experience, what do you think has helped you the most to be able to try to help in that category?
Man, it is tough. Um, and then I don't want to say it's a fear because, I mean, it probably wouldn't be the right word, but the concern is one, like I said earlier, I am one, we are many. And that goes within the area to do things within the area initiatives where it doesn't require a board, but to do anything organizationally, um, such as, uh, like I talked, I even put in my questions and answers that, hey, IPSC has a policy, the gender equality policy from August of 2023. Since USPSA is a subsidiary of IPSC, quit being scared of some lawsuit you think might happen. Adopt that. That's USPSA policy. Refer them to IPSC. Let them deal with it. That's it, right? That to
Okay.
me, it doesn't get any easier than that.
Right.
Biological sex is immutable. I don't care what you feel like. This is what you are. This is what you're born as. Now, you can do whatever you wish, but when you compete, on the field, this is what we go off of. Anyway, so the problem that I could see is that, like you talked about, with the everybody want to go all these different directions, and you don't have enough of a majority to do anything with, and
Right.
you get like a lame duck Congress, for lack of a better term.
Right.
It's like, what can anybody really do? Uh, you don't want to, because then you think about the whole the line of, if you negotiate with terrorists, then you're always going to be negotiating with them, right? You're going to always have to give, and they're always going to take. They'll never give. You're always going to be the one that's going to be conceding. And then when you say no, you're not, then you're just going to stop and pout, or you never, and then nothing ever gets done. So I think for me, uh, going through, um, I went through a 6 week, really, really intense uh, course on. It was a red team course, and everybody used to talk about red team, and they're like, enemy? Like, no, not enemy. It,
Communist.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, communists, yeah, stars on the wall back there, right? Um, but it's but critical thinking, creative thinking, and group think mitigation. And the last part, the group think mitigation, I can look and I can see group think in a whole lot of things. And there's so many tools to combat it and to overcome it. Um, going through that, and then I still hold the certification to be a crisis intervention trainer in law enforcement, and understanding de-escalation and uh, being empathic, and that interpersonal communication, and how to talk, how to communicate, and all the different leadership traits that you have to possess to be an effective leader in anything, whether it's the military, whether it's the civilian side, profit, nonprofit, whichever. You still have to have those And if you don't, you're just going to kind of be on an island, and you're not really going to know what to do. But I've had the hard things come at me. I've dealt with them. Uh, I've told people many times I'd rather talk somebody into handcuffs than fight them into handcuffs. It works better for both of us. With a board situation like that, it'd be better to talk it out and figure it out rather than to do nothing. Because at the end of the day, if you look in the bylaws, it tells you that as a board member, as the area director and a board member, you are required to look at the strategic vision and direction of the board, of the organization. If you're not doing your job and you're just laying there apathetic, what are you really doing? Why are you there?
All right. I'm going to throw something else at you because the last few years it's been said that board members don't answer to their constituents,
That's
their area members, that they answer to the organization and they have to do what's best for the organization, not necessarily for the members. What are your thoughts on that?
no. You answer the members first. They're who put you there. Sure. So it's like this. I look at it as you answer to the membership, because without the membership, you're nothing. You're not there. We can sit here and we can say, yeah, they put you there. And truly they do. They do put you there, or they don't put you there. Um, but the day that you don't take a member phone call or an email or listen to a grievance or a complaint is the day that you need to step down being a board member, because you're no longer effective. You've lost your position as a leader. You're no longer serving. You're no longer a servant leader because you're not serving that capacity anymore. You're self-fulfilling, and you're just full of yourself, and you're useless. Absolutely, you do have to tender and take care of the organization, because as a board, that is required. Because that you're also there for that. It's kind of like being a nonprofit has a double bottom line. You have a business that has a bottom line. Well, a nonprofit has a double bottom line. You have the business bottom line, of the breaking even, making the money part of it, but you have the philanthropic bottom line as well. People say, "Oh, it's a nonprofit. You can't make a profit." Yeah, you can, but the profit has to go back into the philanthropy and that mission that they're there to accomplish. Yeah. See, the thing I didn't do was I didn't really sit here and write all this. Oh, look at what I've been done. My capstone course was in nonprofit management when I went to the University of Alabama for 6 hours on creating a nonprofit and then managing a nonprofit. I was originally going to do a master's in public administration, but I chose education instead. A little more fun. But, so I look at being a board member kind of the same way. You've got a double bottom line. Yes, you owe the organization your due diligence to keep it going in a direction and that strategic vision that as a board, it has been laid out, and that pathway that is projected for the years to come. That's kind of the future ops. That's what's coming up. But you absolutely, every day, hour by hour, minute by minute, owe accountability, and everything it is that you do to that member, not only in your area, but I'll go so far as to say everywhere in USPSA. Because while your area may be the ones that elect you to put you in that board, everything you do has a ramification to every single person that holds a membership card in that organization. Now, people may not agree with that, and that's fine. But that's how I feel about it. Because, somebody has to represent the members, and far too long they've felt like they aren't, and in a lot of ways they haven't been. You have a lot of what can I do, what's good for me, uh, how can I? And there's no me's, there's no I's, and there's them. You know, how do we take care? How do we make it better? How do we improve? What does a membership want? Now, not everything can be done for various reasons, but I'm sure that there is a very happy medium that can be found.
Well, and I think sometimes people lose sight of the fact that perception is reality. So,
Very much.
so even if people are being served, if they don't feel like it, then that's their reality. Whether board members agree, disagree, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's the perception. So therefore, that is the reality of the situation.
Yeah, and
Um,
there's nothing wrong with the disagreement, and I don't
no,
understand why people take it so personal. It's like you're an adult. Well, you're supposed to be an adult. Disagreement's fine. It's healthy. I think it's wonderful. I like to disagree. Let's talk. We don't have to argue. We can have a respectful discussion, and we may not agree, but we can understand where we come from. And that's, man, I like to choose unpopular arguments and research them just for the sheer knowledge benefit of it. I get bored sometimes, and I do that. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I've been called weird, but it's
so
just kind of how it makes me tick sometimes.
okay, you'd like to get into philosophical conversations, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I took philosophy 101, and
Well, and I don't
well,
even mean like, yeah, I don't even mean like strict philosophy, but I mean like the philosophy of practical shooting as it applies to USPSA. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that type of deeper philosophical style conversations within the sport, you
Mhm.
know? So, all right. I like that. That's good. Before we go off on any other tangents, you had posted in your bio. I'm going to pull it up here. Oh boy.
Did I misspell something?
No. It's good.
Formatting got kind of weird for one of them. I was like, I'm like a dummy.
I can. I'm gonna quote a few sentences here and then ask you.
Sure.
I can recall a book that was required to read during my time in the Army as a chief instructor. I thought this was odd, but now I can see the value and personally feel Who Moved the Cheese by Spencer Johnson should be required reading for anyone currently in, going to, or thinking about seeking the position on a board or other organizational position.
Hmm.
Why? Why is that?
So, you know, so here I am in the Army, and I'm like, why is this dude wanting us to read?
I should be reading Sun Tzu.
Yeah, right. You know, it was a commander at the time. Like, why is this dude got us reading this book about cheese and mice? I'm like, what is this? So, to make a long story short, it's about these two mice, and they're going to get their cheese, and then it wasn't there, and they get all bent out of shape about it. And the one dude's like, I got to go see if I can find some. The other's like, no, you can't do that. We got to stay here and hope it comes back. Well, they finally ended up venturing off, and then they found more cheese. So it's one of those books, and it's real short, real short read. I think it was maybe 200 pages. I am not a book reader. I fall asleep reading. I'm an audiobook guy, and unfortunately, that was not available in audiobook. But I ended up writing. We had to write a little report on it, and turn it in at a NCO professional development session that we had. And I think I ended up writing about 12 and a half pages
Whoa.
on that book. Yeah, because that's how impactful it was to me. So, basically, don't get comfortable, because before you know it, where you are, it's not going to be the same. It's going to change. And like I think I said in the beginning, if you don't like change, you'll like being irrelevant even less. So you're going to have to move. And if you don't move, uh, in that context, in where I was then, if you don't move, you're going to die. And that could be die on the vine, in your career, or that could be, literally die. But you've got to be adaptive. You got to improvise. You have to be. You can't even be flexible. That's too stiff. You have to be fluid. Uh, so you just got to really be responsive to the environment, and understand, read the signs, see what's coming, and then recognize that change. More so that it's coming before it gets there. And that's what one of the mice failed to do. Both of them failed to recognize it before it got there, as the cheese was getting smaller.
Right.
Then when it was gone, that's when the boom happened, right? So
Yeah.
it was very, very good. I thought it was very good. Um, and it was just, like I said, it was a real short, quick read. It's not really, really long. I think it probably took me a day and a half in my spare time, maybe, which for me is great, because I said, you put a written book, I'm like, I'm nodding off and hating life. And my wife loves to read, loves it. We'll read all day and all night. And I just not, I'm an audiobook dude. Mm-mm.
Okay. Um, yeah, it's an interesting book. I know the story. I haven't read the book. I may have to, but I don't
You
mind
should.
reading. But typically, it's all my stuff is violent war books. So that's my genre.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Read a
it
couple of
is
those.
what it is. What it is. Now, I want to switch back on
Sure.
the USPSA page. One of the things you felt that was something that needed addressed is retention.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I always say that like the USPSA just announced, we've gone over 40,000 members for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
While they're not wrong, I don't think that's accurate. And I say that because I know those aren't active members. Because I know for a fact I was told that, I guess what the average life of a USPSA member is about 3 years.
Yeah, it's
So
3.2, if I remember last time I heard right.
okay, yeah, something like that.
3.2, 3.4.
We'll call it 3.5.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Well, 10 years later, your number is still there. It's still on the roll. So you're still counted as a member. So they're looking at all of those numbers as part of the 40,000 when actively it's somewhere between 20 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there needs to be a delineation there between total people who have ever come up with a membership number versus the active number of members. And I think that's where the issue is keeping those people active and recruiting more people in to make that number grow.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good point. If be able to put that metric, I think if you look at something like the Howler Monkeys guys did with the classifications, where on their pie chart you can have it selected with unclassified, or with or without the unclassified. If we could somehow get a metric built in there to where, I don't know, let's pick an arbitrary number, say 2 years, right? 2 years of no activity. Like, you haven't been in a match for 2 years. There's no activity on your number. That could be, say, that delineation on it, to where, okay, you're considered, say you're like I'm a life member, right? So I would be counted forever.
Yes.
Even
Even
if,
after you die.
yeah,
Yeah.
as long as, if nobody reported to USPSA that I was dead,
Right.
conceivably I'd go on, in perpetual.
Right.
Here I am, 157 years old, right? So say 2 years of no activity on your number, you may still be current, you're 3-5 a life or whatever, but after 2 years, there's no activity. So let's call them, I don't know, inactive or whatever, right? So then you look like you're talking and see what those numbers look like. Uh,
Right.
and I brought in the retention thing because to drive that point was not talking about. Let's just go with the 40,000, right? We went up to this, we went up to this, we went up to this. So they're still showing people coming in,
Right.
but what's your loss? So tell me this then. If you've had, let's just say, in Area 6 in the past 6 months, you've had an increase of 200. Okay. How many have you lost against that 200? Because of those 200 that you've had in the past 6 months, none of them can vote right now. None of them could vote for a new director at large if something happened. None of them, without a waiver, could be an RO, right? They couldn't run to be an area director. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With the retention, you're not just losing, a check every year. You're losing experience. You're losing the ability for the next match director, the next section coordinator, the next area director, the next director at large, the next RM, CRO. You're losing all that. It's great putting new people in. Don't get me wrong. We have to have that. But you have to keep the people that are here as well, because those people that come in, who are they going to get? Whose wing are they going to be underneath? There's not going to be anybody to take them in.
Right.
But yeah, I think your point is excellent. Figure out take all these, the Social Security rolls, right? Do it like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to think of. Yeah. So yeah, we jest about it, but something like that to be able to take out those inactive, whatever metric we want to put on it. Say, hey, we're not kicking them out. We're not getting rid of them by any means, but we're just going to,
Right.
in
Different category.
a theoretical system, we're going to put them in this little block that's not going to count them as far as actively shooting members, right? So, because we always talk about, the election's this, we didn't get these many people to turn out and this and that. We've got, out of, I don't know, 10,000, 1,200 people voted. Well, that may really be all you have that are active. I know I talked to 2 people today that didn't get the email because one of them's email wasn't updated and the other one's address wasn't updated. So you have
They
those
didn't get which email are we talking about?
the email for the election opening up today.
Oh, okay. I
With a
got you.
link.
I'm not in those areas, so I didn't get the email. So I'm like, what email are you talking about?
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. You're in Virginia, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, Virginia.
Yeah, I'm Area 6 North.
6 North.
Or 8 South, whatever you want to call me.
I like 8 South. Dylan.
So, I mean, look, it's closer for me to go to some of the Area 6 matches than it is some of the Area 8 matches. So, North Carolina is closer than Pennsylvania is.
I'll be in North Carolina next weekend at the Carolina Classic.
Okay. And I think for your retention purposes, I think using the active member number each year instead of the total numbers on the rolls
Yeah.
would be, look, I hate that stupid word transparent because I think it's just a buzzword that everybody uses to sound cute, but if people claim to want to be more transparent, then use And I'm not saying 40 is wrong. I just think 24 is more accurate.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
let's
Oh,
just
yeah.
go with
Well,
the
you have
active
accuracy.
members.
You have accuracy and you have precision, right?
Yeah, exactly.
40,000 is accurate, but 24 might be precise. You know.
Exactly. And I think it tells the story a little better. This is where we're at. Why don't we aim for 30,000 active members? Ooh, that's what that's what like gets me going. Oh yeah, instead of saying, oh, let's get 50,000 when I know that half of those aren't even going to be active members. That doesn't get me excited. 30,000 active members, that gets me excited.
Absolutely.
So I'm with you there. I just don't know. There are so many factors in life that play a part.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll even use. I've got Practical Shooting Live up there on the top of the screen, and Jay Slater being part of that. The guy
Yep.
just had a child.
Yep.
His life has just changed. One of the guys who was with me at the beginning of the podcast, he had a newborn right when we started the podcast. 2 years later, he had another one.
Whew.
He doesn't even shoot anymore.
Mm.
Like he's completely out of the shooting sports because
Yeah.
of life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what happened to me. I had
Mm-hmm.
like a 20-year gap in shooting because of kids and moving around with jobs and different stuff. Life gets in the way. So it's really, really hard. That's where I think too that's why I brought up the thing with the juniors. It's hard because I took my kids to, steel challenges and some USPSA matches and they enjoyed them. But once they became adults, they're like, Dad, I can't afford it. And this and that. And I've got this new job that a career I'm trying to get going. And man, so many things affect the ability to do this sport.
Mm. Yeah.
It,
Braden
I
started
was,
and he
I was in the military. You were in the military. When you're an E3, E4, E5, and you're living in barracks on base, where are you going to keep your gun? How are you going to take that and all your gear to a match? And you have deployments and you have all, you know what I mean? There's so many things that affect that. I was training for, oh shoot, Ironman. I wanted to do triathlons, and our op tempo was so much that even though I was 300 PFTer, so I had a perfect score on a PFT,
Mhm.
and we did all kinds of stuff. I never had a chance to really even train to do that. It's like, and that doesn't really cost. I had a bike, and then I just run and I swim in the ocean. That didn't even cost anything, and I didn't have time to do it. You know what I mean?
That ocean swim's a good one.
Oh yeah, man. Those jellyfish love me too.
Mm. Yeah. So Braden started college 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago he started college, and he's starting to kind of feel that. Whoa, I don't have time. I was like, oh, you got time. You,
Right.
you just gotta make time. He pledged a fraternity and had his bid day, last week. And then so it's like, yeah, I get it. I said, life is no longer how you knew it.
Right. Exactly.
There's 8 pounds of sausage, and you have a 5 pound wrapper.
Make it work.
Have fun. I'm gonna go over here with my 5 pounds of sausage and my 4.5 pound wrapper because I'm getting it down, buddy.
Well,
As soon as I get your half-pound ass out of here, I'm good.
that gets you back up to a 5 pound wrapper.
hey, hey, no gain, no loss. I'm good. He just looks at me like, yeah.
But that's where I was going with that early question was, you are trying to fit 8 pounds of what into a 5 pound trash bag
Yeah.
with the sheriff's office, your work,
Mhm.
your kids, your wife,
Oh
and
yeah.
now USPSA.
Right.
So
Right.
you're saying you have the experience to be able to shove those 8 pounds into that 5 pound bag.
Yeah. And the sheriff's office is not anywhere near uh, the uh, the capacity like it was when I was Just a couple years ago, when I was at the academy, teaching at the academy all the time and everything else too. So that really is, like I said, it's a hey you here and there, more or less than anything else. They hold my certification. I keep my stuff up, and I'll keep their stuff up as needed. But now, when I was at the academy, that was tough. It was a lot that was going on to maintain that. When I was the deputy director out there, running basic classes through and doing in service and all that kind of jazz. But I think 20 at the end of 2023, all that kind of I kind of transitioned away from that and kind of yes.
Okay. So I have one final question
Sure.
for the members of Area 6, whether they vote for you or not, what can they expect of you?
Whew. Um, you know, transparency, right, Dave? Is that the best word we're using?
Oh, you just triggered me.
I know. So what you just saw right there is what they expect. Um, I am I'm me. I'm honest. I'm open. I'm forthcoming. Um, I've never been a stranger. Um, I want to do this, uh, because I want to benefit the area. Nothing for me. I stand or seek to gain nothing out of it. I think you can look in the additional parts of the bio, the whole travel stuff. I just scoff at it. No, um, you expect from me honesty, transparency. I say it again just to really trigger you good, but I am going to do to the best of my ability everything that I say I'm going to try to do. Just like we talked about earlier with having a lot of the major things with the other board members, of course. With the number one thing in on my list, provided I get in and January is the start, of the tenure. That January board meeting is going to be gender policy. That's the absolute first thing. That would be
Okay.
the first thing I put on there. Now, other things, working. When I say local, I refer that to being in the area. Everything else that I would think would be beneficial, and what I've heard and talked, that can all start to be planned, coordinated immediately. It can be started. Of course, not being official, until officially would be in there. But if I wrote it down, if I said it, you can take it to the bank. I'm not. I'm not going to sit here and lie to people's face. I'm not going to have ulterior motives. I'm me. Uh, I'm straightforward. I'm an honest dude. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to fight. Uh, I don't take no very well when it comes to things that mean a lot and that I and we as an area are passionate about. So I will be the one up there in the virtual boardroom fighting. I have no reason to back down from any of them.
Now, has Ben mentioned? I know this is a special election. He said he would stay in position until somebody was elected. So is the plan, have you heard, is the plan once somebody is elected and everything's final that Ben steps down and the individual takes over immediately? Do you know? I haven't heard.
From what I remember, I'd have to go digging and looking. Uh, I'm pretty sure it was the first of the year, January.
Okay. January 1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the other half of that question is, and you kind of answered it, But to the other, if you are elected to the other board members, what can they expect of you?
They can expect cooperation. Uh, I will work with them. Collaboration, understanding, passion, you know, love of the sport, love of the organization. Want to see USPSA exist from now well beyond my existence, well beyond into my children and grandchildren's future. Because I think that's what it's all about. Ultimately, is the sustainability of everything. Um, you know, I'm not I'm not on a mission to uh, destroy. Uh, I have, I guess, different perception, different ideas and thoughts, and there's no reason why we can't all work together to get everything good for the membership. Because at the end of the day, we all serve the membership. We direct the organization for the membership.
Okay. Was there, that was everything that I had. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to mention before we go, other than everybody should go to the USPSA bio and read the rest? Because there is other information in there that we didn't talk about that I'm not going to cover everything in your bio if it's already there. There are certain points, I figured were good to talk about and get out there. But is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, we covered it all, Dave. I mean, my email's in there. Um, I'm not hard to get a hold of. I've gotten bunches of emails, messages on Instagram, phone calls. Hey, shoot me a text, email, message on IG if you want to talk. If you're not sure, I'll take the time. I'll take all the time we need. Any questions you got, uh, I will be glad to sit down and talk. FaceTime, Zoom, phone,
Evie
Instagram. It doesn't matter to
Mux.
me. Yeah, Evumux or whatever it is that you sent, Dave. Whatever, it'll work. I mean, I'm good with it. I'll be at the Carolina Classic I'll fly in on the 12th. I'll be walking stages very quickly on the 12th after we get there. I shoot AM on Saturday. I will be flying back out on Sunday. I think late morning, early afternoon. I have to check, but that Saturday afternoon, we can find us a tree and sit down underneath and talk. Sunday before I leave, we can too. I'll be there.
All right.
I'll be at Area 3 Championship. I don't know if y'all are going to make it that far out, but I'll be out there too. Then I have local matches here in Mississippi. If y'all want to slide over, anytime, you're welcome.
And let everybody know what your Instagram account is.
Where are all the alphas?
There you go.
You can look my name up, and it'll pop up there too, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I try to tag people that I follow when I put videos up, and sometimes it won't. I can type in their name and it won't tag them. Like it won't populate them at all. Like not even in the list. I have to type in their username, letter by letter, underscore by underscore, and all of that in order to get that person to pop up so I can select them. So Instagram is communist. Yes.
Yeah, just a little bit.
They're red team training.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You did, Dave. You did.
All right. Well, Billy, thanks for coming on. And I'm sure people are going to be happy to at least be able to hear these words coming out of your mouth versus reading them on a piece of paper.
Oh, anytime, Dave. Thanks for having me. If in the interim, before the election's over, you get a wild hair, you want to have me on again, give me a holler. I'll be glad to come on.
I got a bunch of those wild hairs, but that would be inappropriate.
No, I don't see any.
Okay. All right. Take care, Billy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Dave.